Oh, here we go.
I didn't request it. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the CBOC meeting. We are here tonight on December 15th. And if we can have the announcement for interpretation.
Buenas noches, estamos aquí el día de hoy para nuestra junta de CBOC, el Comité de Supervisión de Bonos. Si ustedes necesitan traducción, favor de ver en la parte de abajo el globo terráqueo y ahí aprietan el idioma español, escogen para español y podrán escuchar esta junta en español, la cual, bueno, la junta va a ser en inglés, pero van a poder escucharla en español. Gracias.
Thank you. So interpretation is now available if you locate the globe icon on the bottom of the page.
All right, thank you. Good evening. My name is Brendan Havener-Doughton. I'm the acting chair of the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee. Welcome, everybody. Happy December. We'll do calling the meeting to order here at 6:17 or so. We'll do item B, roll call. In the absence of not having a secretary, I will do roll call. So Brendan, I'm here. Giamma? Here. Andrew Butt? Here. Andrea Landine? Not here. Tashiana Johnson? Not here. Lynn Johnson?
Here.
Bill Kloss? Here. Dulcig? Not here. Nia? Not here. Okay, so 5 of 9, we have quorum. Item C, approval of the agenda. To discuss an item on the consent calendar, it must be removed. We don't have any consent items right now. Is there unless there's objection, we'll approve the agenda as is. The one thing I think I might suggest here is we have under action items, item I, adopt the 2026 meeting schedule. Although we don't have a meeting schedule published, I don't think there has been one created, right?
Not that I know.
Okay, so I think I would like to move that to a discussion item. So we can agree on that, and then come January, we can publish.
Could we at least set the date for the January meeting so that staff is
We
prepared?
should definitely do that.
That would be nice.
So, why don't we, yeah, let's set the January date.
So you could leave it as an action item and make the decision.
Item O is next scheduled meeting, January 12th.
There you go.
I think we can agree on that.
Let's think about that.
That's the second Monday. Now
Went back to third.
I know. So that's,
The
so let's,
challenge with the third Monday is that it's also Martin Luther King.
in January.
Yeah.
Okay, let's agree on the January date on item O. Or I guess we have to, officially make a decision, right? We don't have any, okay. So we'll keep item I as is, and we'll adopt what dates we can, and then we may move an item to discussion, for the rest of the, calendar, or we'll bring it to January's, meeting. Okay, so any objections on the agenda as is? Okay, all right. Move forward. Item D, comments by the chair. Nothing much here. I just want to wish everybody happy holidays, and in kind of coming together in December, in closing out this year, after kind of I think a productive meeting with our board of trustees. I'm excited about setting up a work plan for our committee moving into next year. And we'll see as kind of some of the agenda items tonight, we'll discuss, why we're all here, what our interests are, and how can we make this committee valuable for the duty that we're here for, to oversee the district's bond program, but also for the fulfillment of the things that we came to serve on this committee for. With that, I'll just want to thank everybody for their work this year, and then, looking forward to working with you guys in the coming year. Item E, public comment on non-agendized items. So I know we have one comment in the room. Ellen, do we have anything online?
No comments online.
And then I guess we should also ask if there's anybody attending online.
So we do have trustee Alana online. No committee members.
Okay, so I know Don Gosney has a comment for this item.
And then I'm just registering the new arrivals. Thank you.
You should note it for the minutes that we are changing our attendees.
So we'll say arrived 6:22.
List their names verbally.
Tanya has arrived at 6:22.
Progress.
And Lynn Johnson has come online.
Double.
Ah, you're here again. Sorry.
All right, so we are on item E. Don, you ready?
Yes, thank you.
Do it.
I just wanted to speak and remind this CBOC about the need and importance to be an independent body. There's been a problem with CBOCs up and down the state. Grand juries up and down the state, including the Contra Costa County grand jury, has complained about the lack of independence with this CBOC. One of the bigger problems that they have is the very people that are being overseen decide who gets to oversee them. That's old, the old fox and the chicken coop thing. Who's guarding who? It is a problem, but we've had difficulties with district employees and Board of Education members that have tried to cut the legs out from underneath the CBOC with their versions of the board policy, deciding what can be talked about at our CBOC meetings. And if you're going to maintain your independence, you need to stand up and say, no, you can't be telling us what we can say, what we can think, what we can act on. There are certain rules and limitations, of course, but the CBOC needs to stand up for themselves and demand that independence be granted. We've had board members that refuse to discuss changes in the board policy because it used the word independent in it, even though in Proposition 39 it mentions it independent 6 different times. But try to be independent. You take a look at our joint meetings. Are they truly joint meetings between two independent bodies, the Board of Education and the CBOC? Or are they a Board of Education meeting where they let the CBOC sit at the grown-ups table? Yeah, they run the meeting completely. Staff helps to run the meeting on there. We used to have it where the board president and the CBOC chair would alternate, who got to kind of lead each of the agenda items, where the two bodies decided what was going to be on the agenda. It's just not like that anymore. We've even had board presidents tell the CBOC chair that he's not allowed to speak on the items at the joint meetings. That's not independence at all, but just an advisement on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, public comment on non-agenda items?
No hands are raised.
Right. Item F, public comment on agendized items. We have one in the room. Is there any online?
None online.
All right, Don?
Thank you very much. I've registered this I sent you all emails and texts about the fact that the way it's written here, it makes it look like, if you want to comment on any of the agenda items, you have to do it here at the beginning of the meeting. And that all of the items are lumped in as one item. You're limited to 3 minutes total for comments on all of the items. This is something that the board did a few years ago. And you had to comment on everything before you even knew what the item was or the details. All you had was the title of the item on the agenda. Now, your chair, Brendan, has said that he plans to ask for public comment after each one of the items, which is a good thing. But the way it's written up right here, it was too reminiscent of the totalitarian days. Not that long ago. We're talking about 5 years ago, 4 years ago. But you need to be able to hear from the public. The public doesn't have an opportunity to reach out to the members of the CBOC, the representatives of the people, because they have no way of contacting them. There's no email addresses or phone numbers for any of the members of the CBOC that the public has access to. So it's this is the only chance that we get. We just want to make sure that we don't lose that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Moving on to CBOC business. These are action items. We have our election of officers. So I'd like to call for nominations. Unless there's an objection, I'd like to ask for nominations for all of the positions. So anybody that wants to self-nominate or nominate one of your colleagues, now's the time. We've got chair, vice chair, and secretary.
I would nominate Brendan for our chairperson.
Right, thank you.
Second. How about you for vice chair?
You can nominate. She can decline. Don't be afraid to nominate. It is important that we have our three officers so that we have an executive committee. I did send out, kind of descriptions of the responsibilities briefly. Stated it's not much, I think. Mostly, we'll just, asking for a little extra engagement to keep the train on the tracks.
So is that a nomination?
Oh, yeah, I would nominate Lynn Johnson for vice chair, if she's interested. If she's not interested in it, I would self-nominate. And maybe, I don't know who's interested in being secretary. That's pretty important.
Lynn, how do you feel? Do you want
I think that would, I appreciate the nomination. And I would actually, I don't know if I'm quite ready for the position. I would want the more detailed training. And I would in turn nominate you for vice chair.
Yeah.
to? I wish you did that.
Judah. Second.
All right, Andrew, vice chair, secretary.
Raise your hand.
So, at a minimum, this is, roll call and, making sure that we take minutes. And there's a spectrum of detail that is allowed for the minutes. There's a very basic, detail of, what was discussed. And that there's ways to do it that are, that are not super labor intensive. I'll put it that way. And there's also strong opinions about how much detail should be in the minutes. So, but if you're secretary, you can decide. So.
I wonder if there's nothing that precludes us from using like a AI-based note taking, is there? Well, sure, make it easier.
That's a great
Secretary is a tough one,
question.
because it's just like, if you're having to take notes, the entire meeting and with the expectation that you've got
It's hard to
providing
debate.
good comprehensive
Yeah.
notes, unless, you know, Don would do it. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. Maybe there's someone who's into it.
Are we allowed to do that? Because there are some apps or systems that we have that can actually dictate or transcribe as the meetings go along, which would be easier to kind of compile. If we have the ability to do that, I don't know if that would violate anything within the Brown Act or any of our procedures.
So I think we're allowed to do pretty much what we want to do.
Oh.
I'll just state that for the record. Obviously, we have to do it within the law and all that, but I think what's the most important consideration is privacy of information, if there is any privacy issues. So we could consult legal on that potentially.
I would just double check the Brown Act. I think in general, it would be a tool.
Yeah.
And as all tools are, you need to have the human that's interacting with the tool, right? So if that wants to be the base of how you start your meeting minutes, I don't think there's anything against that as a place to begin. But I can double check that and will. But I would encourage the committee, knowing kind of the myriad of results that you can get from AI note takers, to make sure that somebody is in charge of reviewing that automated system and making sure that it's accurate.
Yeah, I would say I wouldn't want to use that in place of, I wouldn't want to take the AI notes and submit them, right? But as a reference point and as a tool, I think we can do what we need to do to get the job done. But when it comes to publishing things, I think privacy and how we do that, accuracy is definitely paramount.
I can nominate myself for secretary.
Excellent. Thank you, Dulce. Okay, so I went to our website to reference our bylaws. They were not available. In our bylaws, it states our method of procedure for running elections. I was just in a committee a couple weeks ago, where we had to elect people independently. But I will just say, unless there's objection, and kind of understanding that doesn't seem like any of these positions are contested. Unless there's objection, I would like to just vote the whole slate, at one time. Is there any objection on that? Okay, so, a motion to elect, Brendan as chair, Andrew as vice chair, and Dulce as secretary. Is there a motion?
So made.
There's second?
Second.
Who officially second?
That was a tie.
Bill? Okay. Bill is second. Okay, we'll just do a roll call vote. Or wait. Now, I know Don has a public comment on this.
I'm sorry, I didn't think I'd need to talk about this, but when you're talking about using AI on there, where are you gonna get the information to feed AI? If you're going to rely upon the recordings here, go look at the recording from the joint meeting where it's almost completely inaudible. It's don't rely upon recordings. We've had numerous times where I've been asked to provide my recordings because the district's recording didn't take or whatever. It's just, there are problems with that. When you talk about privacy, everything that's said here, it'd be on the recording, is not private. This is a public meeting. There's no expectation of privacy on that. I mean, even if somebody gets up there and gives their mailing address or something like that, now it's public. Okay, so that's not something. And as far as the Brown Act, when it was written in 1956, I don't think AI was a consideration for it. So I'm not sure you can look all you want, but I'm not quite sure you're going to find any reference to that. They did talk about tape recordings, tape, but just letting you know.
Okay, thank you. Okay, roll call vote. Brendan, yes. Gia, Ma,
Second.
yes, or
Yes.
yes, okay, yes. Andrew,
Yes.
Lynn,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Dulce,
Yeah.
and, I always get your name.
Tanya.
It's Tanya. I want to say Tania, but Tanya. Yes. Okay, Tanya. So unanimous, we've got an executive committee. Thank you all. Okay, item H. Committees. This is something that we've I don't know. I think maybe many of us have mixed experience having served for limited amounts of time on this committee, how much committee work we've actually engaged in. But I do think it's worthwhile to highlight some of the areas of our work that we could benefit from committees. So I want to have the discussion of what those committees might look like. I know in particular, one is, the website, and having a smaller group, focus on, providing feedback, to district staff for, website content. And that kind of flows into just overall communication between, that tool being the main tool of communication. You have to leave?
Yes, I have another request.
Okay, thank you.
Seven, I did also retail, but only this time.
Okay, no
Thank you
problem.
so much.
Okay. So,
Happy New Year.
GMA is leaving at 6:37. Okay, so website is a committee. Are there any other committees that come to mind for people in the work that we're doing?
Annual report.
Annual report committee. We have had a site visit committee in the past. Anything else?
Like nominations or recruitment, nomination.
Oh,
What do you call that?
So member
Yeah.
identification, recruitment,
Yeah.
selection committee, yeah, yeah. Has that been an official committee? Do you remember?
I do not recall.
Yeah,
It's in the board policy,
to have a committee for that.
selection. committee.
Oh, well, yes, the selection committee, there is, two members along with two board.
Oh, right, 2 and
But
6.
that's
so
just
it's not a-
like interviewing potential candidates, right? Not,
That's like a
not
process.
looking for potential candidates.
Right, that's not our committee's, our group subcommittee.
I mean, it certainly could be, I guess, wouldn't be a bad idea.
I have liked the approach of opening that opportunity up for anybody that's interested in serving and available, frankly, of serving on that, of the panel, that selection committee. So not convinced that we need a subcommittee. I think it is important to, not overwhelm ourselves with work. Or rather, another way to say it is focus ourselves, so we can pick a subcommittee where we do want to kind of engage more deeply. So I've got 3 right now. And then, is there any interest in serving on these subcommittees?
I think it's important, even as we're discussing the committees, to kind of understand what the roles and responsibilities are. So if we can unpack what the role and responsibility of the committee is. So even for the website committee, does that consist completely of communications, marketing, social media platform? What does that look like? Is it just the website, or is it inclusive of CBOC kind of social media platforms or marketing in the school areas. And then the same is for the annual reports. What does that look like when it's broken down? Like, what is the role and responsibility of being on that committee and getting those annual reports out? And then same with the site committee as well.
Cool. Yeah, that's a great comment and question, Lynn. And anybody's welcome to answer. My take is, because we haven't had a robust activity in the subcommittee space, is that whoever steps into that space can help define it. Off the top, I would say we've just transitioned to a new website. It doesn't look dramatically different. But there are a lot of broken links, and, I've been in touch with staff about, that. We've had some meetings that have not, have fallen through because of reprioritization of resources on the staff side. But there's a big need right now to just make sure the website is working, and that, at a minimum, there's links, everything works. And then beyond that, is everything there relevant? Is it up to date? And then I think, moving from that point, I would say if social media is of interest, that would be totally, I think website / communications is the way I would see that. That scope of work.
I mean, so one of the things that's kind of perplexing is like mission creep. I mean, we're an oversight organization, oversight versus policy. The website is not, we have no resources for the website. Who executes the technical aspects of the website and how it interacts with all the other websites? I mean, I don't know what we have to contribute to the website. Is it an oversight content? Is it policy content, or is it just PR? And if it's just PR, that's kind of like mission creep. I mean, it's like, we're not really a PR organization, are we?
The website is the easiest and most common way we would communicate with the public. And that's kind of, and that is within our scope. We're here to understand what's going on with the bond program and communicate that to the public. So if we didn't have the website, that might be harder for us to do, right?
Right. So where do all the resources come to create this website?
The district staff.
Okay, well.
Yeah. And so
How many people
our
are there?
role,
How many people are there to support us, and whoever is gonna be ahead, leading the website committee to create whatever we need to create that's effective?
that person would be engaging the district communications team to make sure that our expectations are met. So,
But they're gonna do all the work.
correct.
You just have to give us the content.
Yeah, we do the content.
Pardon me?
You guys have to give us the content. And we'll make sure that it's posted.
Okay, the content is oversight and oversight.
Well,
I just want to welcome Superintendent Cotton to the meeting. Thank you for showing up. We appreciate your presence.
You appreciate you guys being here. I appreciate your presence. So thank you for the work that you're doing. Whatever we can do to make the process go as smoothly as possible, just let us know.
Don, we'll get to public comment.
I would definitely be interested in assisting with the website communication and constructing the content that's new. I think my concern or ask, not really concern, my ask would be to kind of course, I can go to it and look at it now, but just to get a clear idea of what it is we want put on the website. What are we portraying? What information are we seeking to get to the public? I have to say that it is much more user-friendly now than it was before, and I love it. But in the having the responsibility of getting that content there, having the responsibility is a no-brainer. It's just needing the information, being clear on what it is. that we need to put on the website, what's being required of us to share. So.
Okay, thank you for stepping up. I'll
No
partner with you
problem.
on
Sorry,
that.
if I can ask a point of order,
Sure.
this agenda item is supposed to be picking people for the committees. You've got a website agenda item, but that's all you're talking about right now. It's,
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, it was just natural that there were questions about it, and so.
but, I mean, we signed up to speak on the website, on that agenda item. I can't really sign up for this now.
It's okay. No, we can have public comment for every item. It's okay. But I wanted to kind of just get through that and then we'll open this item up for public comment. Okay, so annual report committee, anybody excited about that one?
I'll sign up for that one.
Thank you, Dulce. So that really is just to knock out the two remaining or potentially one report that will take
I can help them.
Tanya too. Okay, awesome. So we're digging out of the hole a little bit on the annual reports and then I think that's one order of business. And then the next order of business is moving forward together as a committee and all contributing to the current annual report. Okay, so site visit committee, anybody? I'm on that. I'm gonna join that committee. Andrew, okay. All right. I think that's good. Is there any other committees people feel that are necessary to lift up right now?
I think that covers the bases.
Okay, so for this item, I will be appointing Lynn to the website committee. And I think Tashiana will join us there. I'm gonna go ahead and appoint her too, since she's not here, she can't. But I think based on her interests and everything she shared, she's in it. And then the annual report committee, Tanya and Dulce, I will be on that committee as well with you. And then site committee, Andrew and myself. Bill, we'll keep a warm chair for you somewhere when you raise your hand. Those are now appointments. Boom. Everybody good with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Public comment on this item. Don, do you have something?
Not on appointments to the committees.
Okay. Item I, so we talked about adopting the 2026 schedule. Let's talk about two things. One, does January 12th look good for everybody? We should definitely agree on that date for the next meeting. The third Monday is MLK, so we won't be meeting on that day. Although acknowledging that a few months ago, we did switch to the third Mondays. Number one, yeah, is January 12th good for folks?
Yes.
Okay. And then number two is, generally speaking, outside of, notwithstanding, holidays and things, is, the third Monday still good?
Good for me.
Better than the second,
Well, it's mostly to accommodate
the
the
financial reports.
financial report.
Yeah. Okay, so we will, so all in favor of the January 12th and a schedule to be approved next meeting that reflects the third Monday CBOC meetings. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right.
All opposed? None? Okay, unanimous. Okay, so discussion items. Item J is my favorite item on the agenda. It's entitled Understanding the Diverse Interests of Each CBOC Committee Member. a discussion of what elements of the oversight process each member wants to highlight or incorporate into the committee's work. So I have here an atypical example of something that we could request that I haven't seen happen yet with my time on the committee, is maybe a presentation from one of the architects involved in doing, working on these projects. So really want to just open this up for discussion, kind of reflecting on why you're all here and how we can make this space more relevant to your interests and allow you to produce more value for this committee and for the district.
We're just gonna do round robin here or what?
Yeah, anybody can speak.
Well, I think that is actually a really good idea, the project architects. I know when we were doing the walkthrough at Lake Elementary, some of the questions that I had, which were answered, is basically kind of a tangible way of understanding the bidding process. And if I hope I'm articulating this correctly, during the bidding process, is there just once a bidder has been confirmed or accepted, does that bidder then kind of do subcontracts to do different parts of the school or different buildings or parts of the architecture? I think it would be good if we, or maybe I'm gonna speak for myself, if we kind of got a better understanding of what that looks like, so that when we're looking at those financial reports and understanding how that money has been spent, what the projection was, what the budget was, what was actually spent, what was put back, or when that when we added more money to the initial budget. I think that it would be just a better way for us to understand what that money looks like, how it's being used. Is the money changing because the contracts are changing, or is it because of subcontracting, stuff like that? I think that that would at least help me to understand a little bit more of how to kind of trace the money when I'm looking at the reports.
Great. So one thing I heard in there was kind of understanding the arc of procurement, like how a project comes into existence and kind of some of the steps along the way. And then as I was processing what you were saying, for me, thinking about, like, a lot of times we'll get these big reports, a lot of data, on a single page for many, many projects. And sometimes it might be more easier for us to understand if we just focus on one project and kind of look at the arc of its existence and understand why things happened and understand, use that as an example that's rooted in a concrete project, to say, this is why there was $1 million change order here. This is why, as opposed to, for me, it's sometimes hard when we're looking at a large portfolio. So that's what came to mind when you were speaking on that. And then we do have an item on training, so that some of this stuff can fall into training, whether we have an additional hour on top of our regular meeting or we have a separate training meeting. We can talk more about that. But some of this can kind of influence the way that staff may present the information, right? And we can make those requests.
Ellen was.
One thing to keep in mind on that particular item is that, depending on which project we're looking at, we have done alternative procurement methods. And so covering the procurement methods might be a good place to start.
Yeah.
Just as a suggestion.
I love how you actually do all the updates on where the construction is at. I think one supporter it would be really helpful to do some forward looking of like, the district has put in bids and grants for X state funding or X federal funding. This is what we could potentially expect in X amount of years. Just so that we know how to steer the ship as we're thinking about decision making just on a monthly basis, but also just to know and understand the long-term pipeline of projects and how the district is also thinking about it. So I love how we do the monthly updates with the pictures and things are getting demolished and whatnot. But I think once a quarter, I would definitely appreciate a pipeline of forward-looking projects. And then the other one I really feel like I need at the tip of my hands is a budget report index, or maybe it's like, I know we get like 10 reports and then I'm like, wait, which one is this one? So just thinking about potentially doing a short index or catalog of these are the reports that you get. And this is what this, and I think you might have mentioned it. Because at the end of the day, I go home with like 100-page agendas full of numbers. But it's helpful for me to just kind of distill it and then get what I need, especially as I think about writing an annual report to understand what's the best way to portray that in our annual report.
And great points, Dulce. I think we have an item to dig a little bit deeper into the financial reports. Staff over the months and years have given trainings. I do think it's okay for us as a committee to say, you know, and I want to acknowledge the effort that has gone in to getting a handle or requesting these specific reports over the years, because I think there was limited information, and with every iteration and generation of this committee, different reports were created to serve different pieces. But based on where we're at right now, I think it's fair for us to say we need a report that does this for us. And I think we need to be careful about adding more and saying there's another report, but instead of having another training, which some of us have not taken that training anyway, but another training on here's what the report means and how to decode it. Maybe we can kind of evolve some of the reports to create a summary that reflects some of the questions that we want to be able to answer and reference. And you know, the truth is, like, we have access to go into the online reporting portal and pull information, detailed information. We just need to know how to drive that software. And so the detail's always there. But I think if it's too onerous or overwhelming to get all those reports in the meeting, you know, maybe we can modify or evolve that at least quarterly, right? And we can talk more about this, but like maybe the day-to-day or the month-to-month report is different from a quarterly set of financials, right? It's really up for discussion. It's up to us. I think the question we should all be asking ourselves is like, what is meaningful for us, for me as an individual, and for us as a body to be able to empower us to do our role here. Because lots of information, lots of detail could be great and it could be accurate, but if it doesn't help us do our thing, then it's hard to understand or whatever, then it's not effective.
Yeah, like for example, for me, what I'm thinking is, so if I'm on the annual report committee, I'm already thinking my task is go look at other bond programs in other districts, look at their reports, what do they have, what do their budgets look like? I guess it's a budget report, it's a budget in budget report inventory list, right? What do we have? And we don't have to like delete or erase or condense. It's just where are we at now? And then how can we evolve in the next year? You know, do we actually need all of these? Maybe we do. Maybe we don't. I don't know. But for now, I'm thinking as I'm doing research on other oversight committees or maybe other bond programs in other districts, it's helpful for me to just have that basic list of the inventory of here's what our district has for us. And it's helpful to know that there's an online portal. I'm not ready to dig into that yet, but just that's one of mine. So appreciate the conversation.
So who is like, who is the project manager for Kennedy High School?
Great question. Thank you, Cheryl.
I'm running, you guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for stopping
I'll
by.
be back. And next time I'll sit a little bit longer. Okay.
I mean,
Um,
basically Kennedy and Richmond or everything. That's all, that's like the, you know, so those are the only two projects we really need to be concerned about.
yes,
Steve.
so Bill,
Steve's-
I'm gonna challenge you to put that in the form of the item we're talking about here is your interest. So like, if, you know, if that's something that we would like to request from staff, it's like, we want to know who's working on these projects. We want to know the PM at the staff level. Is that a district staff? Is that a consultant? What's the consultant team that is working on this project? I mean, maybe some of those questions you're after.
I mean, there's only one question, who's the project manager that runs the project? I mean, for Kennedy,
District or
for Kennedy, for the project, for the construction, who's the construction?
I think what Brendan is saying, because we're on item J,
Oh.
he wants to challenge us in a way in communicating that in a way that's something that we would like to know or understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, please
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong, okay.
Yeah, no, like, so we're talking about what we want
Yeah.
what types of information we want in our meetings, what, you know, the interests we have. And based on your experience in this space, what's good, what's not so good, what do you want more of, what do you want less of? And so that's a fair question, that level of detail. So I'm translating that to, we want maybe to have a little bit more insight and transparency into who were the people and entities involved in projects, right?
Well, if you're gonna do something like an architect, really the key thing is to have the project manager. That's really
Yeah.
the guy who
Sure.
is in charge of the,
I think you'd have to clarify what you mean by that, because there's typically, they're all set up different ways.
Yeah, I don't know.
And
That's a good
there might be a construction manager, there might not be. There might be an architect, project manager, there might be a project manager with a district. I don't know that there is right now. It's a good question. I think, you know, to further, I think Bill's point is, I think for starters, like, we need to know these things, right? And then I think it's prudent that we work with the district to convey this information so that the public can know it, you know, so that someone could go to the website, could find out what the budget for Kennedy is. And I'm not saying it's not there, but it's always been a little hard to find, you know, who the project, whatever, the various project roles, who they are, what, you know, ideally what their contract is for, what they're doing, what they're getting paid. Maybe even how they ranked, you know, in a selection. I think kind of the thing, if I could just jump in real quick, kind of say the things that I would like to see is, and coming from someone who, you know, at one time, many years ago, was an architect doing work for the district. And things were quite different, you know, a decade or so ago. There were things that were actively being done, like building specifically high performance, you know, sustainable design schools. It's not that it's not happening, but it's not happening in that particular way where they were, you know, designed so, classified so, you know, via a program. And then, you know, there were specific things that were, you know, outreach to local vendors and contractors and things like that. I know there are a lot of local contractors working on district schools. But things like that are, I think, important for the public to know, important for us to know and understand. And then I like the idea of, you know, kind of following the trajectory of a project. So starting with, and ideally, you know, conveying that in a way that the public can see and understand, and hopefully, you know, a relatively easy way, like how was budgeting for a project done? How and why was a decision made to go with a, you know, design build or lease back versus, you know, publicly bid? You know, all these things, there are decisions that are obviously made at staff level. I don't think hardly any of the people at this table even understand what differences are or how their decisions are made. And I think that's important because it directly relates to, are we as a district spending the public's money in a responsible way? And how and why are those decisions being made? So I think that's really important to me. The other thing is, I think I would like to see, and it becomes hard because a lot of the people that were involved with the bond programs, you know, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago are gone now. But I think there's a lot of data there that really could be mined, and to help us understand how to responsibly use public funds and deliver projects today, based on lessons that were learned, you know, in this program, in the recent and not so recent past. For example, again, why were decisions made to go from design bid build to design build? You know, what were some things? Why were the why does Kennedy High have a generator, you know, just a few years after it was built, that the district's paying, you know, a lot of money for? Are there warranty issues and things like that sort of add up and are hidden costs that, you know, the data would be there for, but it just sort of gets lost in, you know, in the flow of things. So that's sort of what I'd like to see.
That was El Cerrito High.
Did I say Kennedy? El Cerrito High, sorry. My alma mater.
You broke it.
Can I add
Sure.
to that?
Yeah,
Yeah, people like to point fingers, and so I think it would be helpful to even have a standing agenda item that's monthly staff level decision points, or report on staff level decisions that were made during the month or the previous month. It is helpful for us, overseeing bonds and dollars precisely for those reasons. And in order to operationalize it, I do think it's helpful to say, let's just put it as a standing agenda item. Besides, like, what are we building? What are we doing? But also what decisions are being made. It is helpful. Not that we're gonna point fingers to the district or any of that, but it is helpful to say, hey, here's where we have power, here's where the district has power, and here's how we work with the district in order to figure out how to hold both ends accountable with the dollars. I like that.
I like it too.
I do too.
Cool. Anything else? Tanya, you got anything? Yeah, I think for me, I think just more transparency around who's involved in the project. I've asked Ellen, like on site visits, I said, you know, just still trying to wrap my head around, you know, even though there's this bidding process, how do we ensure that we're getting the best cost?
Absolutely.
I think that's a hard question to answer at the end of the day, but
there's not a bidding process.
There is still a bidding process.
Yeah.
Well, for subcontractors.
Correct.
For projects underway.
For the alternative delivery methods, there are still an episode of bidding. That still occurs. It just occurs at a
progressive design
different,
build or yeah.
and lease back. There's still a bidding process. We still go out to bid. We just closed a bid for Prestige, and you'll see the GMP on the board meeting for the 17th. So there was still a bidding process, publicly advertised. It did all of the things. It's just like you said, it's at the subcontractor level instead of the GC level. But in the grand scheme of things, that's how all things are bid. The GC puts their layer on top of it. But that is how bidding works. No matter which delivery method is used, your subs report up to a GC, and that creates our numbers. But I'd be happy to review. Well, there's a lot of things on here, so you guys are gonna have to
We'll
figure
organize
out
it. We'll
what
organize it.
you're gonna really ask for when. But
Ellen said GMP, that's guaranteed maximum price, right?
Right.
For those that don't know that term. You have something? Okay. Cool. Well, this was just a start. I mean, we can continue. I think it's incumbent upon ourselves to bring our interest to bear and make sure that the committee is operating in a way you feel that is productive, and we can do our job and also be fulfilled as volunteers on this board. No public comment on this item.
no raised hands online.
Okay,
Still here?
Todd's still here.
Not on this one.
Item K, he's got his comments here, so I got keeping track. Value of the specific financial reports and the reporting cadence. So let's have a discussion of the value of each report and what our preferred reporting cadence may be. And if you're not prepared for stating your perspective on each specific report, just general comments are fine too. What, I think some have already been shared. But this time is for us to discuss that issue in a little bit more depth.
Well, I'll start. I think for me, there's no specific report. I think it just that they're, I think there obviously is a lot of data in these reports. I think to the degree that we can try to make them, as simple as possible and easy to understand, that's better for everyone involved and for the public. And the main thing is just, getting them on time and accurate, which has obviously been a problem for some time. So I think, I would lean toward not having too many or understanding that, if we want them to be useful and accurate and timely, that, we should probably hone in on a format that, that shows as much as possible with as few reports as possible.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at past reports we've gotten, and they are quite comprehensive. So it's, I think, and Bill, you shared this point earlier, many of these projects are fully expended. And so there's records that are, that are being transparently communicated month over month, but they're not changing. So
Yeah, so my question is like on the reports. Every month, right now it says Kennedy High School, 17% of budget spent. Is the next month gonna be 20%? I didn't even know when the Kennedy project's expected to be completed.
So are you referencing the consolidated budget status?
Yeah, right. I'm
Report.
just looking at this report that we got last month. It says 17% of the Kennedy High School budget has been spent. Okay, every month would that change? I think it probably will. And when is the project expected to be completed? I don't know, that would be kind of interesting to know.
Yeah, so I think one thing we could look at is let's look at active projects. Let's, one.
Just active ones.
Yeah, maybe an active project summary list. And if we do, one scenario could be that we really focus, we get maybe a high level, quick update on all projects that are active, and we do a deep dive on a single project each month. And in doing that, maybe there's a deeper dive on the financials, the financial kind of history of that project, essentially. So these are things I think we need to kind of collect our thoughts on and make very specific requests of staff. And I think we can do that. One question I had for staff was like, you know, if of the 8 or so reports, are they all created equal in terms of effort of producing? Or, you know, one thing I think we need to figure out how to, I mean, either we continue to say we need everything every month, and if it's not able to be produced and hitting that goal, then what are we hoping for? And so maybe kind of stepping back and saying, you know, how often do we need some of these reports? And yeah.
Do you want me to respond to that?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
So I do know that the AP checklist by far is the easiest report to create. The rest of the suite of reports are, as has been presented to this committee many times, all linked together, and it's basically the same information. It's just teased apart in different ways. So that these reports, beyond the AP checklist, but the consolidated reports, the report 13, they all are based off of the same base data, where the AP checklist is based off a different database. So if you're thinking about some reports versus others, that would be my answer to that particular question.
So AP checklist.
And for those that don't recognize the AP checklist, it's the one where it shows where we spent, what checks basically were issued during the month. So that is this one. So this one shows you per project who was paid. It's also the one that has the most data in it in the grand scheme of things as far as a monthly component. Where the other ones, except for maybe the variance report, there is a lot of data that doesn't change from month to month. But like I said, except for the variance report, this is the one that shows you the most of what the current month's activity is.
And this is one where we can pick out, you know, larger expenses or anything that doesn't make sense.
Well, if I was to ask you, can you give me a percentage of completion report for Kennedy? How does that happen?
So it happens in a variety of these reports. It happens.
I mean, right now, the percentage of completion is on Kennedy is last month is, as of end of October, was 17%.
And that is true for the overall project budget. If you're looking for the current construction projects, so with both Kennedy and Richmond, and to some extent, but not as big, we have multiple phases. So at Kennedy, we have some of the drawings still being drawn so that we haven't completed design for some of the phases. We have DSA reviewing some of the phases. We have a phase in construction, and we have a phase complete. So we have these different phases, and that's different. We, for this bond program, have rarely done an occupied campus over multiple phases. We've done big high school projects before, but for the most part, we moved everybody out to a temporary campus. We built the whole thing basically, and then we moved them all back in. We did not have that ability with these two projects, partially because we're not tearing down the whole campus. We're keeping some of the buildings. So that made these projects a little bit more complicated. So to answer your question, if you want to know the percent complete of the construction project, You can find that in the monthly status report versus the financial report. The financial report will tell you overall for the project budget, what percentage the completion the project is at a whole. So it changes to a smaller amount month to month because it's a much bigger number. The construction project is a much smaller number, so it changes a larger percentage month.
So that 17%, Bill, is like all of the projects that were ever done at Kennedy going back probably 20 years, right?
It depends if you're looking at the Measure R report or if you're looking at the
This is
consolidated
the,
overall.
Consolidated budget status report. And that's just what was spent of the total amount allocated for Kennedy throughout, a long time.
Right.
The 17%.
This report says that 1.6% of the modernization project, is which I presume is undergoing.
Exactly.
Has been spent. 4,300,000 has been spent on the 257 million. So all that other money's already been spent. So the only money we're looking at is the modernization project.
Correct. Of the 280 million.
Yeah, so the 280.1.
Yeah, right, 208.1.
So this is this for those that are following along at home is the reports that were included as part of this month's package. It's the consolidated budget status report, but only for the 2020 Measure R projects. So that's when you see the salmon color. And so that shows the modernization project. That is that 180.1 million budget that we've been talking about. And it's at some point.
280.1, right?
Oh, sorry. Yes, 280.1.
Could I ask a question about total commitments? What is total commitments? Budget commitments. So there's on the modernization, there's 22 million of commitments. What does that mean?
So that is what we have committed to someone. So we have a contract to the architect, we have a contract to the lease back for various phases, both pre-con as well as this current phase, which is 1.1 and 1.2. We have special inspectors, IORs, inspector of record. We have a bunch of different contracts that are related and all of them have a total amount, right? And so that is what we've committed. We've already contracted for services, but we haven't necessarily spent it all, which is where you get to the total expenditures. So basically we've awarded contracts for 22 million. We've spent 4 million of it. It's kind of the way that breaks down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But we're kind of wandering off your.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
going back to the original item
Sorry.
K. So financial report, so we have the AP checklist, the variance report, the consolidated budget report, report 13, Measure R report, monthly status report, and monthly financial report. These are at least 7 reports.
So the monthly financial report, I believe, is all encompassing of the financial projects or all of these financial reports. So
Okay,
we have the consolidated budget status report is broken down into each funding source as well as the original or the overall, right? So, and I'm a color coordinated kind of gal. So we have the gray, and the gray is the overall one, right? So this covers the entire legacy, the last few decades of the bond program. But then we have the green report. And when you get to the green report, it is the projects that were identified as part of the 2016 master plan. For the most part, these are nearing completion, right? So this is where you're gonna find Lake, this is where you're gonna find Shannon, but you're also going to find a portion of Kennedy because the critical needs project is also folded in. And then we have the salmon color report, which is our Measure R version of the consolidated So these are just breaking them down by funding source, where the gray is the overall.
Okay.
So don't we have a report too?
We do have a report too. But I believe the report two has a different name. So,
In the upper right-hand corner.
There
oh
it
yeah,
is.
report two is the what Melissa referred to as the index report. So it's kind of your table of contents report. Where it's the most high level numbers, and the footnotes at the bottom of it help you understand where to look at everything else.
That's the one I like the most.
Oh, the 13 is the one with the footnotes. We have 13
13A.
and then it goes to 2, and then it goes to the consolidated budget report, the variance report, and the AP checklist.
Two has a lot of footnotes too.
Okay, well, I didn't totally misremember. But yes, there's a lot of data. The nice part about report two is it is really clean and showing where the change is. Where the other reports, you kind of have to search through what's changed. This one, because of this little marker here, really shows you where we spent money. And not surprising, it was at Lake and Shannon and Steech. At least on this screenshot.
So I'm hearing, like, one of the takeaways here, I think, is to just elevate some of the more important reports that each member is looking at. I'm hearing votes for report number 2.
I think the monthly financial report is helpful too.
Is that the AP checklist?
I think that's her project, but I like that one too.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what the monthly financial
The
report.
gray,
The gray,
whatever with the gray color.
So,
Consolidated.
status
Is that the
report,
consolidated?
that
Okay.
is. That would be, oh, I went the wrong direction. I apologize for those that are online. I should have bookmarked them. But the gray is the consolidated budget status report.
So then the AP checklist is the monthly status report.
it's what checks went out during the month, right?
Correct.
Okay.
That's what the AP checklist,
And
the
Has very specific descriptions about what the services were or whatever.
correct.
Got it.
The monthly status report was the project monthly status report, and that's the one that's just per project. And it shows what the construction, it's only for the construction.
And
Current
that, was that
construction
what
ones.
Bill was referring to with the 17?
No, I believe he was looking at the consolidated budget
Okay.
report, but when he was asking for a status of how much we've spent on a particular project, when you're looking at a construction project specifically versus the bond program overall,
Mhm.
the project status report refers to just that construction project.
Mhm.
And it doesn't relate back, well, I mean, it relates back obviously, but it doesn't have a reflection on the budget component.
Mhm.
All of these financial reports really talk about where we are in our budget versus our expenditures. Where the construction project status report really just reflects the data of what we awarded to the contractor and how much of it we've spent.
I think that it sounds like, report number 2. The AP checklist, the consolidated report. And
Project status.
project status report. And the report 13.
Well, you covered them
So
all
all of them.
except the variance.
All of them.
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't see that there's any that we could, like, say, no, we don't need that one. They're all different data.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Data
exactly.
sets.
Why do
So-
you need any information about legacy?
Well, not the legacy.
No, there's all this legacy information in here. Why do you,
I mean,
why do we
I-
have legacy even included in what we're looking at? It would make it a lot easier. if there
I
was-
think big picture, it's probably like it's there. You don't have to look at it, but I mean, I don't know that I'd want to like not have it just because of, you know, I think it's valuable when you're looking at the, you know, the overall bond program.
So one thing we could do is, I mean, I think it was valuable to go through this exercise a bit. And then, you know, one thing we could discuss is the cadence. You know, maybe there are one or two reports that we want every month, and maybe we want the whole set quarterly, potentially. Given the reality that we've experienced of not being able to get, of setting the bar of the full financial package month after month and not necessarily getting that. I think it's important that we figure out what is going to work, and maybe it's an issue of staff capacity. But yeah, I think that's where I want to try to land is a sustainable place, because if we get all that information, how many of us are looking at that every month, every financial report?
The other thing to contemplate while you're looking at this is you had a really comprehensive list of other things that you wanted to do during the meeting.
Yeah.
And so also thinking about the capacity of the meeting itself,
Yeah.
right? I know tonight you chose not to have us present the financial reports and the project status, which, you know, that's fine. But as you're thinking about cadence and what you want when and what you're hoping for out of the committee, you might also want to consider that within this 2-hour time period, what would you like to have, and think about that maybe on the cadence front. Because if we did do, I think part of the reason maybe we've struggled on communicating the breadth and scope of these projects is they're massive and they're complicated. There's a lot of players, there's a lot of parts, and there's a huge timeline. And so you might want to think about if you're trying to do more deep dives, which it kind of sounds like from the discussion, thinking about how does that fit into the meeting schedule?
Yeah, I think if I can add this as well, even in considering kind of the cadence of it, if we did do, say for instance, like Brendan said, maybe 1, 2, or 3 specific reports every month, and then the whole set quarterly. Maybe we could also, if we decide to go with that cadence, that would also assist in how kind of what the context of the meetings would be. We would always know that at that 3rd quarterly meeting that we would get a more detailed presentation, you know what I'm saying, like that. But in the meetings prior to, where we're just getting the kind of the concise, more summarized reports, that the time frame would look different in the meetings as well. Would you consider that, even as like the agenda items would change, all that, to give way to having more time to deep dive quarterly into the more exhaustive reports, if that makes sense?
Yeah.
To add to what Lynn was saying, we can also maximize our time at the annual report committee and maybe get more in the nitty gritty, do a light report back to this larger space committee for us. But just thinking about how multiple committees interact with this space that we're in now. But I like that idea.
do we feel like we can choose, 2 or 3?
I
And
think
do
so.
folks-
I think project report 2 definitely needs to be a part of the more consistent reports. Also
Say the AP checklist.
the AP checklist.
She's like, I could go out there.
And then, I'm gonna call this wrong. I think you already corrected me. What is it called? Is it the project report?
Project status report
Project
or
status
the
report.
consolidated budget status? Project status.
No, no, no,
is just-
the consolidated status report. I think we do those 3 monthly and then do the rest of them as a quarterly as the entire set of all, was that, did I count 7 or 8? Was it 7? Quarterly?
We count 7.
Yeah, it was 7.
Yeah. So we do those 3 each month and then 7, all 7 quarterly.
Any other comments on those 3 or that list?
What is report 2, what's the primary difference between report 2 and the consolidated budget status report? It seems like there's a lot of duplicative information.
I think from what Ellen was saying, you can please correct me, is that some of that information is pulled from different resources?
So report 2 and the consolidated are pulled from the same resource.
Okay.
I feel like those 2 could easily be combined.
Yeah, it kind of depends when you're looking at, report 13. Let me just bring up report 2. So report 2 doesn't break it down by the particular, it's up at the level of the bond program over the decades. So it only shows, like, right here, you can see Lake, it's a single line item, right, for Lake. If we scroll up to the consolidated budget report, even if we go to the gray, here, Lake, if I find it. Has the campus replacement project, which has the asterisk that shows that that's the current project that is under, that is current. And then it has the legacy projects as well as the portable demolition.
So to me, that's more valuable, and report 2 has the same information this has, but not as broken down.
Correct.
So if you really want to know the fuller picture, that's a more accurate report. Report 2 doesn't tell you that necessarily. And I'm not sure report two gives you anything that doesn't, as long as you can add up the math.
Well, and it's again, one of those questions of detail, right? And so, like I said, it's the same base data, one way or the other. It's just a matter of, do you want to look at something that's 2 pages long? Or do you want to look at something that's, and when we're talking about the consolidated, I'm not sure if you're talking about the gray report, which is the overall, or also the breakdown of the green and the salmon color report.
And that's just by bond allocation, right?
Kind of. I mean, the 2016 master plan projects were paid over a couple different bond measures, where the other one is solely Measure R. One thing you might want to think about as you're talking about what's important to you and reflecting on Bill's comment about what's most relevant, the green and the salmon ones show you basically all the active projects. Versus the gray report also shows all of the legacy schools where we currently don't have active projects. So if you're thinking about and I mean, really, this is no different as far as staff time to produce. So I'm just throwing it out there and reflecting on Bill's comment. So if, don't take it as I'm trying to get out of something.
So, well, another way to say it is, like, if we go to quarterly, what can you not live without on a monthly basis?
I actually agree after that example that because the green is the 2016 consolidated budget
Mhm.
report, right? And then the salmon is Measure R.
Correct.
So I think that we should institute those into our monthly, because since those are the more up to date, is that a good way of saying it? Or the more current projects?
So consolidated budget status or instead of report two,
Mhm.
and then,
And Measure R report.
So when you're talking about the consolidated budget status report.
The 2016 master.
There's
plan.
3 of them. There's the overall,
Mhm.
there's the 2016, which is the green, and then there's the Measure R, which is the salmon. So
so we are treating those as 3 reports. They're not one, even though the title's the same for all 3. The colors are different, and a lot of times we get in black and white. Although, unless we're looking at it electronically. So just so we level set, are we calling this 3 reports or 1 report?
for us, it's 3
It's 3.
reports.
Okay,
Mhm.
all right.
For you guys, you can.
No, I
determine
mean, we
the-
should
the
all call it the
counts,
same
whatever
thing.
you want.
Yeah.
But they are produced separately.
Okay.
Do they each, like if you only had to do 1 instead of 3, is that a lot less work for staff now?
No, and that's why I'm saying, I'm
That's
just
eight.
asking really what you as a committee want to deal with and take, right? And Bill seemed to think that there might be an idea that we don't necessarily want to print the 5 pages of the gray when the information is repeated in the green and the salmon for the active projects. The only thing that you're missing out of the green and the salmon color one is the inactive projects. So, but I mean, it's up to you guys. If you want it, we can do it. It's just, it's a
Yeah, I think
6-page report.
We don't need it with that frequency, like with great frequency.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
It could
for
add
me,
to the
and
confusion.
this is just speaking for myself, I don't need anything printed. I can see it way better on a screen. I can zoom in. I can, I can, so like, if it's just a matter of like printing and the effort in that and the cost of that. And others may feel differently, but, I much prefer to look at it on a screen.
Yeah, I can take a poll of what people prefer offline. And Dulce, you said the Measure R report?
R 2016,
Mhm.
I do like the AP checklist.
Yeah,
Those
Yeah, it's
three.
important.
Those
Yeah.
three.
Like you said, that doesn't mean we're gonna remove these
Yeah,
from existence.
right. So we'll get the all 7 during the quarterly reports. Is that accurate? These are the.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're deciding
Okay.
on this. So, Dulce, you said R,
Yeah,
Measure
R,
R,
the 2016 consolidated budget and the AP checklist.
okay. Any comments on that? Should we agree that would be our monthly cadence? Those 3?
so what would we be leaving out, just so we're all clear on if that's the case?
You'd be leaving out the consolidated monthly checklist, or sorry, the consolidated budget status report, that's the overall,
The gray one.
the gray one. Then we would also be leaving out report 13, report 2, the variance report.
And report 13 is,
That's the massive overall one. That's the big number. Of course, the one night that I don't index these, oh, guess what? They are indexed. Okay. Where's report 15?
And what about the project status report? That's left out as well. Or do we mention that?
Which report is that?
So that one's not technically part of the financial reports. It's part of the project update reports.
Oh, okay.
But you guys can go either way on it.
Oh, is that part of report 13?
No. No, my construction team produces those
Oh.
versus it being part of the financial reports made by the accountants.
Okay, any final comments on this or questions?
I just think we should reserve the right to adjust. If we find that this is not meeting our needs and we're missing data, then.
I agree.
we're fine.
Yeah, and this will just inform the request for the next meeting, and we can keep rolling forward at any time. We can.
And
We don't
my
need a vote
understanding
to
is that we
bring things
would
back.
still have access to the suite of reports, right? I mean, we're not losing access as a CBOC member, are we? By saying we only need.
If we go to quarterly for some of them, and then you say you want report number 13
Yeah.
in February, but it's not gonna come till April, you might not have that access unless there's some way we can get it from the portal.
I mean, would you be using it internally anyway, or would you just stop generating these other reports? That's what I'm trying to understand.
I'm going to have to do further research on that, because we also have audit findings and different components. So I want to make sure before I say, no, we're not going to produce them, that I don't have a different requirement beyond the use of the CBOC to create the reports. If we didn't have another reason to create them beyond the CBOC, then I would think that we would stop once we settle producing it for that particular month. But then what we would be producing them as is the quarterly reflection of that data versus the monthly reflection of that data. So they would still happen. You would just get kind of the same way we do the annual reports, right? So once a year, we put together an annual report that are all of these reports, but it reflects the entire year versus a month. We would do the same thing, but on a quarter versus a month. So it wouldn't be that the data is lost. It would just be that for the second month of the quarter, you wouldn't know exactly what was spent that month. You'd have to wait one more month and then you would see it all together.
And I think there's two benefits here. One is it's not just to like reduce staff time or, take pressure off that, but it's also for us to focus our conversation. And, an 80-page agenda is really challenging, right? Like, it's great to have it as a reference material, but if it's thinner, our attention is drawn, is focused a little bit more and not spread as thin. That's one way to look at it,
Well, and as you continue to talk, I heard a couple times during this meeting about your communication out to the rest of the world and how important that is to the committee. Somebody just picking something up is going to be very intimidated by an 80-page.
Yeah.
Most people aren't gonna know how to read it.
So there's also that piece of trying to do, if the goal of the committee is to improve the ability for the community at large to understand what's going on, it's also another reason why you may not want to include all of these every month.
Yeah, good point. Okay, anything else on this one? Before we go to public comment? Okay, thank you guys for that conversation. Don, you have a comment on this item?
We got a lot of comments on it based on some of the stuff that was mentioned here. I gotta tell you though, give me a name placard here that says Mr. Irrelevant. You made all these decisions without hearing anything from the public. Like whatever I have to say is irrelevant to what you've already decided. I said, I sent out by text and email last night a description about these financial reports. There's also copies on the table right over there. And I've heard numbers coming out here. We talked about 10 reports, then 8 reports, then 7 reports. There's 6 reports. There's been 6 reports for about a decade, and that's all that there are, is 6. And there is a 7th one, it's an annual KPI report, annual already. All right, but I mean, I tried to put in here kind of a description about what each one of these does. I would very respectfully, I do mean respectfully, wish that you would get a better feel about what these reports are, because I'm hearing all kinds of comments that maybe you don't quite understand what each of these reports is, what it does, and the value that it has. And I'm touching on a couple of the comments that were made here. Ellen, you talked about the packet reports and that these things were in this packet. What was downloaded off of the CBOC website was 4 pages. None of these were included in. And is there something being withheld from the public?
No, it was on the website right underneath the agenda packet,
Why was it not part of the packet?
because it was asked not to be part of the packet.
Okay, I mean, as a member of the public, how would I know that? When it clearly says agenda packet. Okay, I mean, that's a rhetorical question. There's just something that Bill was talking about, the 17%, the 22%. You've got that percentage is on the budget. It's not actually the work that is done. A little example of that, I worked for a small contractor back in the 70s. We got a $40 million contract. That was huge for a small contractor, except that there were 2 $19 million reactors in there. So that was $38 million. I mean, that was 92% of the total budget was complete as soon as we ordered those. It didn't mean we were done. We still had 9 months to actually build it. So the reports you're looking at are the dollars. It's not the actual construction itself. Okay.
Down here, 2 minutes. You want another minute?
I'll just shut up. I'm sorry. No,
Sure.
I'm sorry. Yeah, just.
Okay. All right. There's no comments on the online?
No.
Okay, thank you. All right, so item L is CBOC training scope schedule, Ms. Bill, and that's my fault. And resource library. So this is, I think we might want to talk a little bit about what training items we would benefit from, like financial reporting. And one of the things I want to make sure we can do is record these things so that we have reference to them, and new members have reference to them in moving forward. So are there any items that folks would want specific training on?
Yeah, I would like training on how the legacy use of these reports and why they're important. I would accept it from Don if you want to spend time. I mean, I do have trouble, I realize and appreciate that there were, I'm sure, good reasons for each of these reports. And, I don't feel like I have personally the comprehensive understanding of why and what those purposes were. And I'm not super comfortable saying we can live without ones that, were there for, I'm sure, a very good reason. So I think if there's any training that would be for myself, it would be around that.
All right, others? I know procurement was mentioned. Construction procurement methods. Anything else?
I think we could all collectively use some assistance with the annual report, and if we could have some at least one time, since we're all sort of picking that up new, that would be helpful, I think.
Yeah, like the process of financial reporting. Maybe, what has worked well, but also, it's not so much training for me. It might be more helpful to do like one-on-one, either with you, Ellen, or with our chair of like, here's the research I've found. what's the timeline for the financial report? When is the deadline? What are good, helpful kind of, levers or, yeah, just to know and know, like, the timeline to get us to our end product, which is the financial report. So that in December, we're not like, oh my gosh, we need to finish this report in 15 days.
Okay.
I think I like to say just if there is a way we can do just CBOC member training as a whole, on everything that we do, for myself included, but also any new members or recruits that we're looking to bring in. So coming in, they understand the scope of what the committee does and understand what our focus areas are and how we hold ourselves accountable, as well as how we're holding the school district and stuff accountable. Understanding even though I already know, but it would be good to make sure that everybody understood what the Brown Act is and what, you understand what I'm saying? Like, I know we're talking specifically about that, about the other topics, but as CBOC training, the entire scope, just making sure that everyone that's on the committee understands kind of what our scope of practice is, what our policy and protocols are, and then because we can't hold someone else accountable if we don't really know what our jobs are, if that makes sense. And so, and then maybe also having or creating a resource binder. So if someone coming in did have questions, they have a place to go and kind of tangibly look and flip some pages and say, oh, this is what the requirement is, or oh, this is what, you know, this report should look like, or, you know, that kind of thing. So I don't know what you all think about
Cool.
that. But,
Yep, we have had Brown Act training. Sure, we could do it again. And reference material, I think, yeah, this day and age videos, I think, are helpful for people. At least, you know, anything we do in terms of training should be recorded and be for reference. And we do have a link on the website for training videos, so you can look at that as a place to store things.
Now I haven't clicked the link for the train on the new site, but I know on the old site it wasn't working. So is the training link working now?
Even if it is, we'd have to look at that content to see if it's you
Right.
know,
Absolutely.
still relevant.
Absolutely.
So I can also commit to putting together a menu of training, kind of a training plan that we can discuss and modify moving forward. And then also work with staff. Ellen wants to say something real quick, but you know, one of the things we're going to need to decide is in our limited time where we meet together, do we take an hour of our meeting or 45 minutes of our meeting for training? Do we add an hour on every quarter for a 3-hour meeting? Do we dedicate, you know, how do we fit the training in? And we can kind of think about creative ways to do that as well. So.
I'd also encourage members to look at the bond management plan. That does have a description of all of the financial reports in it. Also has a description of the delivery methods, and an overview of the procurement process. So that might be a great place to start if you're looking for a really kind of high level overview. That might also help the committee members understand where they would like a deeper dive.
So that sounds like we could do a bond management plan study session. If anyone's interested.
I was gonna suggest study sessions or like a half-day retreat or something
Retreat,
that
fully
is
funded retreat.
outside of this. Of just learning and studying to, you know, I don't have 25 years of being in the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee.
Right.
So I understand, you know, the frustration of people, like, you should be an expert at this. And at the same time, it's helpful to have this be a process that we all learn and grow together. And understand that.
And I think even the quarterly or maybe not quarterly, maybe every 6 months if needed, we do come back and do kind of a re-up just in case of, anything changing, any new measures being voted in. So that way we're making sure everybody's staying up to date on what's current and what's needed for our community.
Anything else from the members here on this item? Al, Don, do you have public comment on this item?
Yes, I do. One of the problems with training in these meetings itself is you get a fluid membership. You get people coming, people going. You have a training session today, for instance, and now you've got a new person coming in on January, but say, well, we just trained people on that. They're not gonna train them again for another year. Well, that's not very productive on there. That's where a video library can be very, very helpful, where people have an opportunity to review them and make sure the video is relatively short, but then concise, broken up into individual subjects. But as individual CBOC members, do you have a personal responsibility to look at those videos? Or do you actually coming here to get training at the meetings themselves? We've had past training where we had it after the meetings. Problem was, only 1 or 2 people stuck around for their training. So yeah, we have to have training, but not tonight, I can't make it tonight. That was a problem we had on this. But one of the bigger issues you've got to deal is, who do you have to mentor you? To tell you about these different aspects, the financial reports, how to put together an annual report. You don't have anybody with any experience left in there, and even staff people you don't have. And I do want to warn you about using CalBach. Everybody says, look at CalBach, they're great. They've got an agenda, and it may not be the same as our agenda here. And you want to look at other CBOCs, yeah, they did it. We are unique in how we do things. Just like San Diego is unique, just like Sierra City is unique. It's okay to look at what they do, but don't just copy and paste on these kinds of training. But it is critical to be trained on these kinds of things, because you don't know what you're doing. How can you do the job? Thank you.
Thanks, Don. Okay, so on this item, I will follow up with the group on potential training plan, and then work with staff to put something into place, and then also just get feedback from everyone on what type of cadence and way we integrate training into our work works for everybody. Okay, item M, CBOC website review and feedback for district staff. I'll start by saying I had a meeting scheduled with district staff on the website, but it fell through because Nesbitt was reassigned to a different priority. It was like, I think, the day the teachers returned to the classroom, so I'm sure there were lots of priorities. But for all intents and purposes, Tasha is very responsive and wants to hear from us on our comments and feedback for the website. So anything that comes to mind, or did folks get a chance to take a look at it?
I did just want to point out that if you are looking for the staff reports shown tonight, they are listed right under the meeting packet for staff reports on the website under the agenda, meeting minutes, and recordings tab. So just want to be clear that that is available to the public.
Okay. Thank you. Lynn, did you mention it was more user friendly?
It is.
You want to say a little bit about your experience walking through it?
It is so much more user friendly. I think it has less tabs than it did before, and they are very they're very clear. I think when it went live, I went into it and kind of clicked around. And I am the kind of person, if it takes too many clicks, I'm leaving the site. And so I really enjoyed the new website. It's very user friendly. It's very clean, easily readable. And I think that the more that we kind of market it to the public, it'll be easy for them to kind of click through as well. It was very informational as well.
Okay, I think one of the things we can do on the website committee is just kind of do a full review. Maybe we can even put together a Google Doc of, you know, every link, for lack of a better term, every pathway here. Does it have, you know, just a cursory review of like, is the content, is it live or is it an error? Is the content relevant, or does it need some refresh, or is it up to date? Kind of a red, yellow, green analysis, if you will, as a starting point to provide some feedback. And then, you know, some secondary questions I would think about are kind of like, why are people coming to this site? And are those links front and center? Are those things easy to find? Because there's a lot here. And if somebody's doing research, yeah, they're gonna hover over, they're gonna read all those things. But you know, if they're trying to join the meeting, for example, is there a way to put that like link on the front page, especially the day of the meeting? That's just an example. I'm not saying we need to do that. But it speaks to kind of like the relevance of the site, you know, understanding that 90% of the traffic is for this reason. Well, let's make sure that it's not doesn't just look good from a kind of a report presentation standpoint, but it's actually responsive to what we know to be true in terms of the traffic going to the website.
I think the only thing that I would say would be missing is who is the CBOC committee. And I think we kind of discussed that a little bit before, but I think that would kind of give a face to who the committee is, and making it a little bit more personable. So when the community, who are our stakeholders, when they're going in, they're looking at a face that they can become familiar with.
I like that. I think that's a great comment. We talked about it before. Yeah. If folks want to put their picture up there, we can put pictures. If we just want to write a bio of ourselves, we can talk. We can do that.
I have a couple of things to add. There's no links to past reports, and I know the past 4 reports don't exist, but are there other reports? So
You're talking about financial reports?
financial
Or
reports
the annual report, probably.
Annual report.
reports.
Yeah. I think that's,
They're on
you
here.
were saying financial before, but I think you meant
The annual report.
our report is the annual report. Yeah.
Yeah, the annual report. I think it'd be helpful if there's a link to contact at least one person. I love the idea of having bios and whatnot, but at least one person. And there's an email that's like cboc@gmail.com. I don't know who receives those emails. And then if they get forwarded to our chair,
That might be my CBOC email. If it's
okay.
Brendan, yeah,
I don't think it
CBOC.
had your name on it.
Oh,
but
okay.
I think it was like a district thing, but yeah, so that's some feedback. And then there was another one that I forgot because I didn't write it down. Oh yeah, how to join the CBOC. This has been one of my more frustrating moments, is that I often tell people, oh, join this committee, join this district, and then the district is like, sorry, or they'll be like, yeah, you're accepted, and then they'll be like, oh, sorry, we saw our roster and you actually can't join because of X reason. So is there a way to update our membership so that it reflects openings, or if it's a full committee? And I love that it says, you know, to review current CBOC membership, click here, and then it has membership as of January 2025. So I like that statement sentence. But we haven't updated that, so it actually says we still have some openings.
Well, we
Do
do,
still have
but
openings.
there's probably some updates that need to be made to the roster.
Yeah, like my name's not here. Not that I matter, but you know.
You matter.
From January to December, just like figuring out how often we want to make those updates. Like, is it when someone new joins a week later, our expectation is our website is updated. And then I agree with the meetings. Like, I know that the district highlights the more appealing events of like, this beautiful thing happened, but is there a way to highlight CBOC is happening this week on a Monday? Like, not so enticing, but at least it still goes out.
Is there any way to follow how many people go to the website? Is there a traffic report, or is
We could probably request that information from the communications department.
I think it'd be good to know how many people are looking at it.
Mhm. Any other comments here?
I think that the, what Dulce said about the membership is really good. How, we are not open for new members year round, are we?
We are,
We are.
we are.
So I
And we
think
can
that that
go-
would be important information, to have on there as well,
Mhm.
under the membership information. It may be on there already.
Yeah, it does look like the annual reports are up, and at least the few that I clicked on have gone to the right report.
Yeah, they're up to like 2020, I think.
And I believe that's all that are
I believe
finalized.
so.
If
Well, we
there's,
did finalize one recently with this body. The 2021, 21, 22. I'd have to look at the date. Okay, any other comments? Okay, public comment on this item? Any public comment?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, as far as the notifications about our meetings, you know, at the school board meetings, the superintendent puts out a notification on a regular basis. You got a CBOC meeting next Monday. So she's doing what she can on that, and that goes out to an awful lot of people. It's not the website itself, but at least there's notification was there. And when we used to have permission to access the website, our CBOC chair, we had a hit counter on there. It was handy. Then things changed. Okay, but you may not be aware that this current website has only been active for about a week.
Yeah.
So before that, we were getting an awful lot of, you know, the 404 messages on there. But Tasha had been asking for my help, and I was working with her very closely about trying to provide as much data. She only asked for about 500 different items. Dead serious. You know, dating back to 2001. Because she says she knows I've got them. But one of the bigger problems we've got on the website is you've got a lot of reports, especially minutes, where what's on there are the draft minutes. We need to get those, get the finalized versions on there. And that's one of the things that I was working on with her, because I've got more access to the information. I've got all the meeting minutes and the agendas and everything dating back decades. As long as I don't lose any more hard drives. But one of the things you might consider is, I started working on it, but I got shut down by some of the staff people. The photograph that's on there, the masthead, Mill Valley High School. Okay, you got 3 projects right now. Yeah, I can put together a picture for your consideration. Kennedy High School, Richmond High School, Steege Elementary School. Reflect the projects that are being worked on right now, not the ones that were completed 7 or 8 years ago. That's it.
Thank you. All right. So more to come from the website committee. All right, item N, our last item, essentially. Review completion schedule for the outstanding CBOC annual reports. So I think this was mentioned, I know this was mentioned at our joint meeting as one of the board president's goals is to help us, support us in getting us up to speed or up to current with our annual reporting. So I would like to set a goal of the first quarter of next year, kind of wrapping up outstanding annual reports. And I think that's a collective goal for the committee. Something that obviously the subcommittee can work on, but I think all of us, in some way, shape, or form can support making that happen. I will certainly support that. Does that sound reasonable to people? I know that's fine. You had a lot of questions before about what does it all entail, so I know it's hard to commit, but.
I just wonder, how many annual reports? So, and my understanding is there's annual reports that this committee hasn't produced. So are we catching up with those past annual reports by the first quarter? And then there's the annual report for just this year 25, 26. So are we 4 or 5 reports behind? And then most reports are 25 pages long or more. So it might behoove us to do a shorter version in order to catch up with
Agree.
those. But that can be a longer conversation in the committee space, but I think the first quarter might be unrealistic. We might have to
Fair.
do
That's
second
fair.
quarter.
The report that we most recently approved in this term was for the 22-23.
Got it,
Oh.
okay.
There's a report that's prior to that was outstanding. Is that correct, Don, from your,
The one that
2021.
Lorraine is working on.
the one Lorraine? Coombs
It is
working on?
not for 1 year, it's for a year and a half. It's during a transition from a calendar year to a fiscal year. So
That's right. So there's an 18-month report that's prior, the eldest report. Then we completed the 22-23. So that leaves the 24-25. Which I think to Dulce's question earlier, understanding the typical deadline for the annual report for a fiscal year. Is that something you have on the top of your head, Ellen, or?
So I know previously there were attempts to make it, because we get our audit information in like March.
Right,
And so once the audit information comes out, that's really when you can start the annual report, because that helps inform the annual report.
and we're talking March because that's from the fiscal year end of, so
25.
July,
There's a
July to March
statutory-
is the,
Yeah,
is
there's
the-
a statutory requirement as far as when we need to complete our budgets. And so I believe that happens on March 31st, and so that gets us to April.
Yeah.
And then, and then you guys kind of, I mean, you can do previous things, you know, put together background information and whatnot, but the final meat of the information comes with the audit. And then once that starts, I know there was the desire to get it done by the end of the calendar year. So basically over the summer, the draft is completed. And then in fall, you finalize the report. And that was previously Lorraine's kind of timeline that she put forward to the group a few years ago. And so that's the only time I really remember a timeline being
So,
produced
but we
in-
are talking about the audit being delivered 8 months after the close of the fiscal year. And
Yes.
then CBOC taking another 7 months or whatever it is, to the end of that calendar year. So that is a year and a half after the close of the period that we're reviewing.
Mhm. Well, and the audits are really because once the reconciliation happens and the audit season starts and they request information from us, we give it to them, they do their processing of what that means. And so that's why it is where it is, as far as the audit component goes. But how much work can be done pre-audit and how much work is needed after audit is really up to the committee.
Can you share, the report that the auditor, is that what, I mean, who's it
Mhm.
published for? Who's it,
Yeah, it comes to the CBOC every year.
the auditor?
Often we bring it to the joint meeting and that's why the joint meeting is scheduled for March. Is because it comes to the joint meeting and then it goes to both of you guys at the same time. It goes to the board every year because the board has to. I want to say the specific word is accept it. They don't approve it, but they accept it. And so that has to happen, like I said, by a statutory requirement.
So fiscal year, 24 is already, it's been published and it's been accepted.
Or,
Yeah, the report for fiscal year
yeah,
24.
24.
The audit, yeah, whatever it is, and that's, it's published by an independent firm and then
By the auditor,
by the auditor, and they submit it to, actually.
the board,
The board.
but it does also go
Us here
to the
to-
CBOC as well.
Time.
Copies are included in those lengthy agenda packets.
But I mean, is there, okay, so I don't, can you
Yes,
send out
I
the
can.
last audit? I'd really like to see it.
Is it on the website? Maybe
It
not.
should-
It should be.
Well, I mean,
I don't think.
I would love to say that it is, and in previous years it has been. I can't guarantee at the moment with the state of the website that it is, but for sure I can get you guys a copy. We will be working on getting it on the website if it isn't. It always is available in the board agenda packet and your guys' agenda packet of when it came to you.
But if I was, we weren't around. I mean,
Right, but I can help
send
piece
us-
that out
send
for
me a
you.
copy. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can also go to the board's meeting agendas, and it would be an attachment. Since it usually comes out at the end of March or beginning of April, that's the time frame. But it's an attachment there that you can download as well. So you don't have to worry about the website.
And the chair's already made that request. So I have somebody working on getting you the audits for the missing years. So that you have that. And I'm also looking to make sure that we include the financial annual report, so you don't have to try to go through every month and figure out the month to month. You'll have the annual that summarizes together.
Thank you. Okay, so what I'm hearing is Q2 for now. That's just a working deadline.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
just a working deadline.
And just to confirm, the missing years are 24, 25, 25, 26.
No. 23, 24, 24, 25, but we don't have 24, 25 yet.
Okay.
I thought 23, 24 was the one.
22,
No,
23.
they did 23.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay,
So that's the stuff that we should have for 23, 24.
And if you could just send me that final report so I can make sure we have the right one.
okay, yeah, we can Sure, I will make sure I have the right copy.
Why are
Don,
you looking at me?
well, because you're the historian in the room. Final public comment on item N, Don?
Yes, as far as these audits are concerned, first off, very handy on the annual report, when you're looking at the audits, what we receive from the auditors is a secured document, which means you can't copy and paste it. There's, a little section there, but typically I change it. So if you want that, you can try to reach out to me and I'll be more than happy to share it. When I put them in the agenda packets, they are downloadable, they are printable, they are editable. So I rescan every page and so it's no longer a secure document on there. One thing that I've suggested to numerous audit subcommittees is that don't think of the audits, the annual audit, or not the audit, I'm sorry, the annual report. Don't think of the annual report as something that you have to do at a certain time. Do it as you go. Gather this information on a monthly basis. So these financial reports, that ones that you don't want to have anymore, but they're handy to have. You gather them and put them in a folder on your computer on there. Any of the photographs that are shared, for instance, if you want to include graphics in the report. But you do it piecemeal so that when it's time to actually do it, it's not a huge monumental task. It's just a matter of just adding a few things, reformatting, tweaking it a little bit. It just makes it a little bit easier to do. And best of my knowledge, we only have 2 annual reports that are outstanding. The one that Tatiana is still working on, the current one, and then the one that Lorraine is working on now. Lorraine had some serious health issues, including breaking her hip, where she couldn't even get out of bed to access her laptop. But yeah, she's still got most of it done. At least that's what she's been telling me. I'd like to see some of it. I'd be more than happy to come over and take what she had, but didn't want to disrespect her on that. But the President Reckler told us at the joint meeting that she saw a truly outstanding 1-page annual report. I just don't know what you can put in 1 page on there. I'd love to see that. I'll ask her, maybe she could share it with us. Maybe it is, like the President Trump said, a big, beautiful bill. Maybe this is a big, beautiful annual report. I don't know.
Really big page, Tom.
Yeah, it could be. But anyway, it's how long you make these things, the content on it, that's up to the CBOC.
Cool, thank you. All right, with that, we are item O, next scheduled meeting, January 12th, 6:15. Hope that works for folks. I think we agreed on that. Item P, adjournment at 8:28. Thank you all.
Good job, Chair.
Yeah.
I gotta go pick up my wife.
All right. Thanks for showing up, everybody.